On this episode, I'm going to show you how to build your very own concrete fireplace hearth for under $100. Let's check it out. Okay, so on to the materials you're going to need to build your fireplace hearth. First thing, you're going to need 1 5/8" screws, drywall. I have advanced silicone clear. This is from Home Depot, 30-minute water ready. And then I have a 16 by 8 foot piece of melamine. These are used for shelving traditionally. These come in 12-inch sections, 16, 24, and then a 4x8 sheet. So depending on the size of the hearth that you want to make, this is what's going to limit the size of the hearth in this particular method. Next thing I need, we have a PVC trim. This is a 1x4x8 foot piece. I got 2 of these. These are going to be my sidewalls to my form. And then back there I have my 48-inch by 84-inch wire mesh. I think that's 1/8 inch or 1/4 inch thick steel. And then I have high strength concrete mix from Sacrete. And the one important thing about this is that you want to use melamine because concrete does not stick to it. You don't need a releasing agent from my experience and from this PVC trim. The concrete won't stick to it and it will come right off out of the form. So that's the material. Now we'll get on to cutting our form to size. Okay, now on to cutting the melamine. So for my project, I'm making a 12-inch wide by 60-inch in length, and I'm gonna have a 2-inch depth. So I'm gonna have that PVC trim go around the side for my form. Now, one thing about melamine is that if you cut it a certain way, you'll get chipping on your melamine. And then the other side is perfect and there's no chips. So if you're using a skill saw, you want the good side of your melamine, the side that you want to have the nicest finished, and there's always a good or a bad side, so double check your melamine and make sure you have the best side up. For a skill saw, you want to have the good side down. So when you're ripping, you're going to see a bunch of chips happen on the top side, but that's okay because your good side's on the bottom. Now for a table saw, like what I have back there, you want to have the good side up because you won't get any chipping. So now let's go ahead and let's take our measurements and then we'll make our cuts. Okay, now for measurements, this is going to be my good side. I'm going to use a skill saw to cut a 60-inch length. So I'm going to turn my good side down. And now I'll take my measuring stick, mark 60, mark 60. Then you can take a level or something else, just as long as it's a straight edge. You're going to go across and connect the dots. Okay. Now we're gonna go and we're gonna cut this bad boy. So one thing to make sure, use eye protection because this melamine will chip off and fly into your face or in your eyes and it will hurt. So make sure you're using eye protection and then also use hearing protection as well. And also make sure you cut on the right side of the line. Okay, there's our 60-inch cut. Now we'll do our 12-inch rip. Okay, so I'm not going to really tell you how to use your own table saw, but for this particular model, I need to make sure that I have a 12-inch on the inside of my blade. So I'll just take my measuring stick and I'll lock it down 12 inches. Now I'm ready to do a cut the long way. So now I'm going to put my hearing protection back in again, put my safety glasses on. And we'll rip this guy lengthways at 12 inches. Remember, you want the good side up for a table saw. Okay, we got that cut. We're at 12 inches by 60 inches. Now we're gonna cut our PVC trim to the length that we need for the sidewalls. Okay, now to cut our sidewalls. Again, I have it marked out at 60 inches and I have the good side down because I'm using a skill saw. Okay, now we'll rip it to the required length to get our 2-inch depth of our form. Okay, so the melamine is 3/4 of an inch thick. So I need to account for that to do my sidewalls. So I'm gonna take 3/4 inch and then add 2 inches, so 2 3/4. So I'm gonna set up my table saw to cut 2 3/4 on the inside of my blade. Then I'll rip it through. Okay, now we're gonna cut these smaller pieces. That's gonna go the 12-inch width of my form. Okay, so for the short edges of your form, my form's 12 inches, but I wanna leave a little bit of space on each side, and those are gonna come in handy and be used as like handles when we're shaking the air out of the concrete. So I just went 19 inches. Don't have to be a pretty cut because this part in here, I'm sorry, I'm on the wrong side. Because this part in here is gonna be on the form, so I don't really care about this section and this section. So let's get these cut, then we're ready to move on to putting it together. Almost forgot, we're gonna do a quick rip at 2 3/4 inches. Okay, now we're ready to put it all together to make our form. Okay, now the last step. So to finish the form, base, we're going to use this flat, smooth side of this PVC trim. The reason why I say is because this trim has like a wood grain texture to it. So we're going to use the flat side. We're going to line those up on the edges. Then we're going to take our 1 5/8 screws and we're going to put those on the bottom here about every 6 inches or so. And then for the ends, again, flat side, and we're going to go like this on the end. And we're going to leave enough for handles so when we shake this, it'll work nice and easy. Get more of those air bubbles out of there. So then we'll do that on both sides. So with the power of fast forward, you're going to watch me get it all done. Okay, so after the form is built, there's gonna be some sawdust in here. So just take a damp wipey and just clean all this up. This is the best thing you could do to make sure you have a nice clean finish on the inside of your mold. Because if you don't, you might have some imperfections show from dust that was collected. So once that's wiped clean, dry it up real nice. Then we're ready to silicone the edges of our mold. Okay, so again, the silicone that I'm using is the Advanced Silicone from Home Depot, clear, 30-minute water ready. And then I bought these from Amazon a while ago. They're the Gryver, and these are just used for perfect edges. I use them for my kitchen remodel, and I'm choosing to use the smaller one with that rounded edge on the top area there. So I'm going to use this once I put my silicone down and go around the edge and get all the excess silicone up. Now you could also use your finger and go down here, but I like to use the edge here to get a more perfect edge. There are other edges too. There's like a 45 that's kind of cut on an angle. So really you can use your creativity and do whatever edge you like. So now for the silicone, you want to make sure you have a nice 45-degree cut and that it's a very small hole. And we're going to go around the entire edge, just a very light bead of it in the corners. You can do one edge at a time if you like. Then just take your tool and then just score that down the entire length. You'll have a nice finished edge. So I'm going to work on finishing the rest of this, and then I'll get back to you in just a little bit. So once you're finished applying the silicone to all the edges on the inside of the mold, let it dry overnight, grab a beer, glass of wine, and then we're going to come back tomorrow and we're going to work on the concrete portion of this project. One special thing about this, take your time doing the silicone, don't use very much, and make sure nothing is like sticking on the inside of your form, because you will see that when the concrete is set in there. So like I said, take your time, use a wet finger if you have to, wet towel, and just go nice and slowly over all your edges. All right, we'll let it dry and we'll see you tomorrow.